Michigan is the national champions of college basketball, a team that had five starters that were all transfers, a team that dominated the college basketball landscape from start to finish, a team that everybody said who watched the Big Ten tournament, and they didn't even win that tournament, mind you. They lost to Purdue in the final. And everybody said, oh, Michigan's not that good. And I said, folks, the Big Ten tournament and conference tournaments, they don't matter as much anymore. Michigan knew they were going to be a number one seed. They sort of got their funk out of the way in the first half against Howard in the round of 64, and they just dispatched pretty much everybody they played in the tournament, and they could just shoot the lights out from three. They could go inside, they could rebound, they could hammer you, they can steal. They were just so much faster, than almost every other team. I said going into the Final Four that I thought Michigan versus Arizona was going to be the national championship. I had Houston against UConn. I thought that would sort of be the national championship of that South and East region. I had the loser of that losing to the winner of Michigan, Arizona. So I was right on that front. I was shocked with how much Michigan dominated Arizona because of Arizona's guard play. But at the end of the day, even Yosobarn, 23 for Michigan, he gets already as a sprained MCL. It doesn't matter because they just have guys that can shoot, they can rebound, they can pass, and they just have suffering defense. And, Dusty May, second year in Michigan, and I know all the Ohio fans are going to get mad at this, but it is the bottom line that, Michigan, they may call themselves a football school, and they won the national championship in football with Jim Harbaugh. But now that Jim Harbaugh is no longer there, I have always said that Michigan has been an underrated basketball school. And NIL, in my opinion, is just the boost they needed. I mean, they clapped teams like Gonzaga this year. They clapped teams like Auburn, Illinois, Purdue earlier in the season. They went toe to toe with Duke on a neutral site. If you didn't see how good this Michigan team was, and again, I knew they weren't playing their best basketball going into the conference tournament, but again, I think they knew that they were the number one seed. It was almost like sharpening their knives, getting ready for this postseason run, and maybe Howard gave them a little bit of scare in the round of 64. But overall, I think Michigan was a great champion. I'm not mad that they're the champions. I know all the Ohio State fans out there are going to be upset that Michigan won in basketball and that they are now clearly better in basketball than Ohio State. To me, that's not the story. The story is this tournament is going to be what the modern day NCAA tournament is. Of course, last year it was Florida, and we had Auburn, and we had Houston and Duke in the Final Four. We had all number one seeds, and everybody was so mad about it. This year we had two number one seeds. We had a two seed, and we had a three seed, I believe, in Illinois. Who, going into it, I said if Illinois just played the way they played against Iowa, UConn was going to slap them, and it's pretty obvious. And this year, even though I did not win my bracket pool, I did the highest I ever could in my bracket pool. I was higher on Arizona than I was on Michigan. That's my mistake, or I could have won the bracket pool. Um, I do think that this is going to be college basketball going forward. I think NIL has absolutely changed the sport, whether you like it or not. The Big Ten has now easily surpassed the SEC as the best conference in college sports, whether that is football or basketball. The Big Ten, has won now their first championship since Tom Izzo did with Michigan State in 2000. I believe we had what? Four teams in the Elite Eight. What was it? Six teams in the Sweet 16 from just the Big Ten alone. Yes, the Big 12 was deep. I would argue it wasn't as deep as the Big Ten in terms of teams. The Big East, obviously, you got a few teams in there. You got your Gonzagas, you got your UConns. Obviously the ACC in there with Duke and Clemson, but it's not the death of the Big Ten. And the Big Ten has seeked this opportunity. They got big brands in the Midwest, whether it's Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Indiana now. Indiana even made the tournament this year in basketball as well. In football, obviously, you got Penn State, you got Oregon, who I suspect will be back in the realm of the mix of March Madness next year. You got UCLA, who not only, made it pretty far in the men's with Mick Cronin, but they just won the women's national championship. So, in college sports over the past couple of years, we've had, you know, Ohio State win the national championship, Michigan win the national championship, Indiana win the national championship in football, UCLA knocking off South Carolina after they shockingly pulled an upset over UConn, winning the women's basketball championship, and now the men's basketball championship belongs to the Michigan Wolverines. And I know everybody's upset about, Cinderella. There's no Florida Gulf Coast. There's no way of Chicago anymore. And no, there really isn't. But the quality of basketball we got, and I've talked about this before, the NBA is finally embracing college basketball. It took them forever. They wanted to try the G League thing. It didn't work out. But now because of NIL, guys that could go to the NBA and be a late round first or a second round pick and not make that much money and barely have any playing time, they're deciding to stay in college to raise their draft stock. And Mike Malone, former Denver Nuggets head coach, just got the head coaching job in North Carolina. I think North Carolina is going to be good instantly because you don't have to recruit that much anymore. It's very transactional. How much money do you want to come play for my school? It's about money, it's about playing time. And you've got your Bill Selves, you got your Rick Pitino's, you got your Dana Hurleys, you got your Dusty Mays, you got your Mark Fuse, you got your Tom Izzo's. We have a lot of great coaching in college basketball. Maybe the best collection of coaches outside of the NFL are in college basketball. And it's helping these kids deliver. And with a lot of this talent on a couple of these teams, it's making these blue blood in the tournament. It's making these games, for the most part, fantastic. And this is sort of the new generation of the NCAA tournament. Don't hate on it. Embrace it. Every year we're going to get one or two upsets, and it's nice to see Siena almost pull off an upset, or High Point to beat a Wisconsin in the round of 64. But it's not going to be the norm anymore, folks, for NC State with DJ Burns. As fun as that run could have been to the Final Four, they weren't a great team. And hopefully we got two great coaches in Dusty May and Dan Hurley. And Dan Hurley is an entertainment act like a professional wrestler when he coaches. And I love it. It makes for great television. And there is no difference in the college basketball game and the NBA game right now than the 3-point shot. Michigan hit one 3-point shot last night. They won by double digits. In the NBA, if you don't make three a quarter, you're down 30. And I have found college basketball right now, and I've been saying it for months. College basketball is a better product than the NBA. And this tournament, especially the Elite Eight ratings with UConn and Duke, we don't have the ratings out for the national championship. I know it was on TBS and not CBS, so I actually expect the Elite Eight to maybe be higher. But I think they're going to be massive ratings, especially for cable. It'd be nice if, college basketball decided, hey, let's put this on national TV instead of cable. Um, but college basketball, in my opinion, the tournament at least, has never been in a brighter spot unless they transition to 76 teams. I'm not for the expansion. I think it would dilute the tournament. I actually think 68 dilutes the tournament a little bit. I think 64 is the perfect number. You go from 64 to 16 in 4 days. There's nothing like it on television. And I just hope that they don't mess with the format. But congratulations to Michigan. They were the best team all year in college basketball, and they ultimately deserved this trophy. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.